Sunday feast, invite people, but really training to be a good temple person or anything, I didn't have at all. I was a kid. Then I met you.
Yeah. Well, I was on Rabat Nana's travelling party, and that came to an end really because the emphasis in England kind of changed when Hamsadura came.
Yeah, exactly.
And it became more money oriented. And we had, Bhumadev told me, actually Rahini Nandan told me that we had a whole year's programs already planned, and that got scuppered, because of Hamsadura. He wanted the men for collecting, So we had a very successful program. I was very sad to see that close down, and of course it resulted in about Nandan Swami leaving England. He left England. I think he left the movement eventually also. So many devotees left Prajumna, You would think he would be a permanent fixture, but he was such an important person, But that was one thing that saddened me a bit, was that there seemed to be very little stability or continuity, And another thing is, all those devotees, like the brahmacharis who worked hard and who were actually full-time working for ISKCON, they were never acknowledged as being actual members of the society. That was incredible. I never thought about that when I was there. The life members had official membership, so they had some say, actually, in what happens in the society. But the actual devotees, the brahmacharis who were working hard and collecting and giving their lives full time, they actually had no investment in the society at all. They weren't even acknowledged as being members. We didn't even have official membership of the society. That's incredible, isn't it? Which means that we were just used, we were workers collecting money, and at any time when we were not useful, you know what I mean, we could be pushed out. And that happens so often. I saw so many devotees just pushed out, without any compassion really, in a society that's promoting love of God. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you think, wow, love of God. That should include some compassion, no? But no, yeah. Which is kind of sad, yeah. But there again, at the same time, I mean, I served Prabhupada, Prabhupada, and I was there because of Prabhupada, not because of all of these other things. Yeah. At the same time, I'm not condemning anyone. I'm just making an observation. I think one of the biggest problems is raising people higher than they're really qualified to be. And I suppose that's kind of inevitable. Like if you're in an army or something like that in the wartime, you have a shortage of officers. You make an ordinary rank soldier, isn't it, into an officer. Say, we don't have any officers, they're all dead. You know what I mean? It's like you become an officer and they stick a badge on you, isn't it? It's like, be an officer. I don't know what they call that. It's like a commissioned officer or something like that, So an ordinary soldier becomes an officer. So he doesn't actually know what to do or how to behave, So he does his best. If he's sincere, everything works out okay, But there's a great tendency that that person might think, oh, now I'm an officer, isn't it? And then, that's right. Then they start acting above their station, really, and forget where they come from, So I think it's important to always remember where you come from. Oh, dear.
The temple president's assignment is he has to be a good speaker.
Ah,
He has to be a good relationist.
ah,
He has to be a good public relationist. He has to be a knowledgeable of the scriptures.
yeah.
He has to be a musician.
A
To be
musician,
able
yeah.
to write, to make the music work.
That's right, yeah.
He has to be creative in business.
Mm.
It's like so many things a temple president has to be,
Yeah,
which he was not trained for. You know,
that's right, yeah.
overnight you get. Plus, you have to make the money to pay for all of it,
Yeah.
and you have to be a health expert for the sick devotees
Sure, yeah.
to adjust. I think we always relied on this Ananyas Chintayam shloka,
Mm.
Yajana Paripasate. What is it? Krishna. Those who are dedicated to Krishna, he will provide what they have and maintain what they have and provide what they need.
Mm.
Is this Ananyas Chintayam? And in a way, we saw it worked.
Mm.
But then there's that part which you say that people were like kind of left out, apparently, from this system. I like that if you're too much depending on the system, you give up your own responsibility, and you also may become exploitive of the system.
Mm.
So let's take health, for example. Every devotee has to make sure he has to have his own health insurance, or by his renunciation, he may say, I go the natural way. What is the natural way?
Mm.
I'm going to heal myself with healing herbs. Like, for example, I never had health insurance in Krishna consciousness my whole life. But when I needed an operation, and I did need operations on several occasions, Krishna provided a devotee doctor, kind of, who came in and did what he had to do. But like in South America, in Colombia, everybody has a kind of health insurance, but you have to make sure yourself. Actually, the government provides it for free, but you have to be behind it. It's not that they run after you to give you that insurance. You have it. CISBANG, it's called. And devotees have to. And of course, we know that health insurance isn't of a high quality. Like they're not going to fly you to Houston for the best heart surgeon if you have anything with your heart. They're just going to see you. You're more or less in the luck of your karma in the system. But then at the same time, health issues are so expensive. Like the Krishna conscious movement with its income in the West couldn't pay for that. There's no way. So in a way, in the Western world, we have like the Christian charity hospitals, which often came in helpful in this case, because they have a certain thing like if you have no money, we will still give you some health help. On the other side, we know now that the whole health industry is so exploitive and so demoniac that the least you have to do with it, the best.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I never take prescribed drugs. Very, very, very rarely.
I'm the same like you. I don't do this, and I fared well with it, you know.
Sure.
But I know other devotees, if they're not getting the what you call them, these psychopharmaca, if they're not taking this, they cannot sustain their life. So that means they need medicine all the time.
They become dependent.
Yeah, so it's a very complex situation. And of course, there's also family, no?
Mm.
What involvement family has there?
Well, we need devotees who are doctors. Yeah, doctor is a very good occupation for a devotee.
We started conscious doctors
Right, yeah.
in South America,
Mm.
and those conscious doctors, they helped a lot of devotees.
Yeah.
That was their job.
But we need a new paradigm for healthcare, really, I think. And also another thing is, and Guru Das was very much into this when I spoke to him in Prague, is what they call hospices. You know, in other words, care for devotees when they're dying. You know? And I don't know if in the societies there, you know, in ISKCON or other societies, they're taking that seriously. But of course, everybody dies.
In Vrindavan, well, we take it very serious.
Yeah,
we have two departments.
Mm.
We have the House of Wisdoms. They have developed it's called ¿cómo se llama en español? Is How to Leave This World. There's a book published by one devotee. We translated
The
it.
spiritual art of that.
Huh?
Arte espiritual de mujer.
See, we published a book. We trained up devotees to accompany people when they're dying. It's called the House of Wisdom Department in Bogota and many other countries. We started it, and we have like Vindavanita is a place where old devotees can spend the last part of their world life.
You don't necessarily want to spend the last part of your life with a bunch of old devotees, do you? I think I'd rather be active, you know, right
Well,
to the
if
very
they
end.
can, yeah, if they can, but some of them, like for example in Colombia,
Right, yeah.
the Bogota is very cold, so some of the elder
Sure.
people they needed a warmer climate
Warm
because
climate,
Yes.
because it was easier on their health. So
Mm.
and Vindavanita is not an old people home; it's a dynamic preaching program.
Yeah. Mm.
So, but old people can stay there.
Mm. Well, I mean, the facility of South America is quite interesting because, of course, alternative medical techniques are still in use here. And also, if I dare to say it, the herbs here are more powerful than even those in the Himalayas. Yeah. So the power of the herbs is still here in South America. You know, even if you get this Himalayan medicine, you know, from the Ayurvedic doctors, it's not as powerful as the herbs that you can get here in South America. So it's a very healing place, you know. And there are still, you know, shamans and doctors who know how to use these things, you know where they're available. And yeah, so to develop medicine here would be a good, you know, to learn about medicine here and using herbs would be a good occupation, I think, for many people. Yeah, devotees. It's a good occupation for a devotee.
I think we are also in the situation of we know better than we do because Ayurveda means healthy way of eating, and if you do eat healthily, you most likely have a healthy body as well.
That's right. Yeah.
But then we fall into the trap of buying junk food here and there, or using white sugar, even though it's not necessary. We can get the gore here.
Yeah,
We can make our own oil in our farms. We could, but we go and buy these oils which are pampered. We eat food which is produced by glyphosate because that's an interesting observation. For our food distribution, we are going to the big farmers market, and the farmers market are so friendly with the devotees that practically all over South America, the farmers market have donated food
Mm.
to our food distribution, and the devotees eat it as well. But this is not organic food. This
No.
is coming from the
Yeah.
big fields of the industrial food production, and we are gratefully receiving it and offering it to Krishna.
Mm.
So in a way, we could say, like Nrsimhadev saved Prahlad Maharaj from the poison put
Yeah.
into the food by Hiranyakashipu.
Mm.
We have Krishna in the form of Nrsimhadev engaged
Mm.
to save us from all the food we are.
Well, it's true that
poisonous
we
food
know
we
better
are.
than we do. But
Yeah.
to know is at least something, isn't it? And gradually, we can introduce, the actual practice. It's, at least if you know that you could do better, isn't it?
Yes.
Then gradually you can do better. I think that all the time. I know better than this, but I'm doing like this. It's like, but I know better. It's like, what am I doing? But at the same time, circumstances, circumstances, but at least to know that you can do better at something. I'm really sorry.
What is this saying?
I'm dragged through this, I now I've got to use the bathroom. There we go.
Okay, we wait for you.
No, you don't have to wait for me. Please just carry on with the discussion.
All right.
What's the same?
It's folly to be wise when ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's one of these horrible realities of life, no?
Mm.
And I think addiction comes very much into that way,
Mm.
because we prefer not to be too wise when we are addicted to something
sure, yeah.
which is ignorance.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So the human frailty is really hitting us.
Gradually digging ourselves out of a hole, I suppose. Yeah, and there's attachment. You see, devotees. There are so many issues which is taken time for devotees actually to assimilate. And you can't blame them, because ultimately we're coming out of the regular conditioned society, into a new world, and it takes time, to assimilate the new ideas. Even though you might theoretically accept them, still you're habituated in certain ways, isn't it? And habits. Well, the only way you can get rid of a habit is to develop a new habit, a better habit. So until you've developed the better habit, the old habit kind of stays with you.
Yes.
That's the way it goes.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
one question. Yeah?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Because you say that in ISKCON, the devotees is like
I'm not knocking ISKCON, don't get me wrong. I think it's a wonderful organization.
Yes.
All the problems that have arisen are due to human weakness. That's all. Human weakness.
No, but you say about they didn't stimulate too much the creative aspect of the devotees, and more the worker aspect of the devotees. And I want to know, what do you think about how to do it? Because I saw by myself that, for example, here it's very difficult because we have too much things to do.
Yeah.
And so I want sometimes to have more time for reading or for do some other things, but we have too much things to do. And the idea is this place to be comfortable for more people coming.
Too many things.
We need to do many things.
Yeah.
So
you make a sacrifice.
So it's like I have to ask for the devotees who we have to work.
Sure,
so how to simulate another kind of thinking if really they needed this?
Well, I think, as I said, one problem was, and I just saying from my own perspective, from my own point of view, is like people do need a minimum of security. They need to feel secure within a situation. And one of the problems, I think, with ISKCON is that they absorbed many young people, but they gave them no real feeling of security. At the end of the day, we were expendable workers. So it was a very communistic situation, you know. And if you didn't agree with the man, that's how they managed to manipulate and exploit people too. If you didn't agree with the management, they'd push you out. They'd remove you. They'd get rid of you because you're an expendable item, you know. So although you were working hard day and night within this community, you had no real solid investment in that. You weren't even acknowledged as being a member of the society. You
But
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but for example,
So obviously people will give, ultimately people cotton on to that. They realize what's going on. They understand that, you know, it's like, so they give the minimum. Is it? They're gonna, in a situation like that, people give their minimum. Yes. And they reserve something for themselves, you know. So there needs to be some way of making people feel that they really are solidly invested in this thing. They're really a part of it, an important part. You know what I mean? And that they really have a say in it, and they're needed and they're wanted. You know, not that they're just dispensable items who do some work and then they go away.
Maharaj.
Yeah.
But for example, I am trying to have the idea how to do it, because I think in my situation, for example, yes, in my situation is like to deal with people is not so easy. People wars and everything, but it's not easy at all. So it's like in some time you have to have a limit. So if you don't want to be here, okay, let's just go. So because it's difficult for, and always the leader have the worst qualities, because for the people who is leading, the people want to be in their comfort area, comfort zone. And if the leader have to enter in their comfort zone and say, you have to wake up, you have to do this, you have to do that, so the leader is always the worst person for the people. It's like,
well, I've never been a temple president, fortunately. I never wanted to be, but I was a temple commander, and I was so soft that I ended up doing all the jobs myself.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I wasn't hard enough on people to get them to do the work. So you know, what can you say? I mean, there's you're going to be a great psychologist, haven't you, in all of these situations? To be a leader is the most difficult position.
Yes, but it's like Guru Maharaj lists a lot of qualities that a temple president should have.
You have to have
but if you don't have, and there are nobody else who want to be the temple president, what should you do? What would you do? Because I just want to know what to do. What is the best way
you have to take a little break from time to time, otherwise.
and you take a break, and when you come back, the temple become a party zone. So it's not so easy.
I know, but there we are. You know, that's we make a sacrifice for the Lord, isn't it? We'll get our reward. Don't worry. You'll get your reward in the next life. So I've got to.
Are you recording?
Yes, but not everything. Just not everything. Just the last 20 minutes. It's the recording now. We stop or no?
You know, if you want to ask anybody these questions, there's a theory and the practice. So everything we talked this morning is reflection. It's reflection on our real experiences. But you have to judge a tree by its fruits.
Mm-hmm.
So a critical review of what's going on is easy to do. But to run the show, it's another story. And to run the show is what Prabhupada did out of nothing. And when I hear about these things, I'm thinking about myself. How did I solve A, B, C, D, E? And you know a little bit how I solved it, or how I attempted to solve it, let's better say. Because how much you really solve, time would show. And like Maharaj is saying, he doesn't repent anything despite his critical reflections. So everything Krishna does is perfect. So Krishna brings a movement of pure love in the world of egotistic competition. You know, the famous bourgeois. You know what that means, the bourgeois? Working, little house, car, weekend driving out, in, back to work. Whole life is like this in the end. There's no much space in the bourgeois life. Drinking beer at night, maybe, like that. So in that life, Krishna consciousness doesn't have much of a space. Krishna conscious life is revolutionary, questioning the whole system about materialism, bourgeois goals. Bourgeois goals are high class, middle class, low class, but they're all bourgeois. Bourgeois it's a term the communists used for the colonialist society, because that's where we come from a colonialist society. Our countries, Europe, we were colonialists, means exploiters. But some small exploiters, middle class exploited the commercial people, and then the aristocratic exploiters. No? And they all lived on their different levels and along with the system. And the spiritual revolutionary, they say, is useless. Bourgeois life is useless. Exploitation is useless. Colonialism is bad. We have a different lifestyle, different life approach altogether. And then starts Krishna consciousness. And like most of like Shanto was saying, we were all hippies practically. Some kind of hippies when we came to Krishna consciousness. And now we were trying to create a Krishna conscious society with schools, with universities, with commerce, with possibility of living a married life, or possibility of living the bachelor's life, possibility of becoming a sannyasi. At the same time, we had to start a small little type of government. Temple president is kind of a governor of a tiny little community. But we were taught by the Srimad Bhagavatam, the king has to see all the citizens like his children. So we had an ideal where the leader wasn't an administrative leader, but he was a sympathetic king figure. And the king was a saintly king. Practically, temple president is synonymous with Shiksha Guru, because he had to spiritually enliven the people every day for devotional service. They had to raise the devotees' consciousness to the level of wanting to do service for God. But that is a magic influence, a very difficult thing, because in the material world, you ask someone, can you bring this garbage over there? Yes, like 1 ton of garbage, we have to bring it over there. The first thing they ask is, so what are you going to give it to me for? Bringing that garbage, no? And if you're not going to give him anything, he's not going to even take 1 handful of garbage, no? So, and what now? We have to do build temples, distribute books, print books, do incredible amount of different things, even the like what you were saying, making drama, writing fiction, healing devotees, and. Huh? And all this make ends meet without having any money, without any resource, without any sponsoring. So this is almost an unthinkable and impossible thing. So according to time, place, and circumstance, we had to adjust. Prabhupada gave ideas. Live in farms, simple living, high thinking. First you had to get the farm, and build it up, have spaces, or go in a city, sell incense. So make an incense factory, okay. Make a restaurant, learn how to cook. Who's going to do the work in the restaurant? So Prabhupada gave us ideas. Go in the restaurant, spiritual sky incense, life membership, this and that. They're all ideas, which all of them, to a certain degree, they worked. No? But then again, the Shiksha Guru element is a very important element here. Because you're initiated in Krishna consciousness. I disagree with Maharaj in this way that we were not members. We didn't have a membership card necessarily. Of course, many of them had it for Sankirtan. But we were initiated. And as members of an initiations group, you had a status. First initiation, second initiation, brahmachari, grihasta, sannyasi. There were certain status which were there, external uniforms. But being initiated by a Gaudiya Vaishnava guru means you enter into the course of becoming a guru. Because, give you an example, you're initiated by the guru today. You met him, like Ananda Shanti. He met Prabhupada one day, was initiated in the same day in Russia, and Prabhupada was there. The next thing you know, Prabhupada left Russia and never returned. Ananda Shanti became the founder of the Russian Hare Krishna movement. He opened many temples. He was put in jail. He was an amazing personality. I knew him personally later. We met in India many times. So I know Ananda Shanti. Ananda Shanti was the guru of Russia. Because Prabhupada never came back. And he met his student only one day and initiated him. It's a magic mystery, you know. How's possible? By his books, by some letters, they didn't even have telephones to call it those days. No? Or to speak when he was in jail. Anyhow, giving that example, you're initiated today, your guru dies tomorrow. Who's the next guru? You or nobody. That means the cyclic succession is acting decentralized way from the very beginning of the movement since thousands of years ago. What does it really mean and how that develops? This is a good question, but a beautiful question, because it's a very powerful thing, because it all depends on God. God is behind the whole thing, fine. No God is behind, forget it. Forget the whole thing. But if God is behind it, then something is happening. And Maharaj will 100% agree that God is behind it. That's why we are here in Bhakti Dham right now, no? Because God is behind everything we are doing. We are little pipsqueaks. All of us are pipsqueaks trying to do the Goliath job, no? But we are little, only by the grace of God, things can be done. Who's the guy? Goliath, and the other one is? David. We are little Davids. But David, he threw the thing and he killed Goliath because God wanted this to happen. No? So we are little the Davids, and the demon world is the Goliaths all around us. And we don't want to kill them. We want to convert them. We're not armed forces. We are the love army of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. This is totally different, So here you go. You're initiated in a disciplic succession. The guru is gone. You have to do the job. Now, we're not getting into Guru Tattva here because this is another subject. We're going into practicality. That is, you are a young guy, you got initiated today. Your guru says, oh, where do you live? Oh, I live in Floripa. Oh, good. So preach in Floripa. What am I going to do there? Tell people about Krishna and chant Hare Krishna. So now I'm in Floripa. Guru has never gone to Floripa. No, I'm preaching there, small, humble way. I'm the Shiksha Guru there. And nobody's going to take away from that post that whether I'm a Grihasta at home or whether I actually open a Brahmachari ashram or Vishnu Priya ashram like Narayani did in those days, no? You're the Guru. Shiksha Guru. And you go, how to do that? Now, Guru is a representative of Krishna. Krishna is Paramatma. He's in the heart of everybody. So whoever comes to you and believes in you, that's Krishna's arrangement. So now you are, maybe you have a little group growing, maybe you have a little farm. Puri Maharaj had a little farm there, up there in the, where the wind makes its turn, in Vindabhumi. But he was doing his japa and waiting. So in this way, it even became a community. So he's the guru of that community. And you are the guru of this community. Now you have Maharaj here, so he is a great personality and a great wise guy, so he's a guru, but like he will not be able to go to 50 cities in Brazil to preach. Time and health will not allow that. And what is 50 cities in Brazil? How many cities are there in Brazil? 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Villages, thousands. So neither he nor you will be able to do that. So the preaching principle of Krishna consciousness, Pritiviti Achiyati Nagaradi Gram Sarvata Prochara Hoibanam. Every town and village should have some representation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We believe that, no? We follow that. So we are trying to tell to everybody, do, take, make. But the condition of each and every one, the particular condition, whether he has money, he doesn't money, he has talent, he doesn't have talent, he has a wife, he doesn't have a wife, whatever condition, a condition is the circumstances. We are conditioned by our circumstances. That will decide what he can do or what he cannot do. And we know that and we accept that. So now back to your question. You're here and people are coming. We are inviting people, putting Maharaj out on the web. Some people may listen to him. They say, this guy is great. I want to get his association. I want to do something for his cause. You see, we were inspired by Prabhupada's cause. And Prabhupada's cause is still the one which I represent, you represent, Maharaj represents, Govinda represents in the new center. So this puts us as gurus into the hands of Krishna entirely. And all the practical questions or problems have to be resolved according to time, place, and circumstance. Time, place, and circumstance. that is quite a challenge, because you're not under the government. You're not under a ecclesiastical hierarchy even. You know what means ecclesiastical hierarchy? Mm-hmm. You're not under one. Any temple president is on his own. The parampara hierarchy is there on him when he got initiated. His initiation made him a valid member. Govinda is a Brahmin. He has to represent the Bhagavad Gita in his lifestyle, in his talks, in his works, in everything, as a father, whatever. So ecclesiastical hierarchy would be if there would be a Krishna church with millions of dollars in the bank, and they appoint you as the Bhakti Dham in charge, and they ask you how much money you need every month to maintain your people. That would be an ecclesiastical hierarchy. And they could put you and remove you. Mm-hmm. We don't have that in Krishna consciousness. And this is good, because if the ecclesiastical hierarchy would have been intact in India, in the old India, then the Britishers and the colonialists, they would have just crushed the whole spiritual religion of India by decapitating the ecclesiastical hierarchy like they did in many other places. But because the guru is anybody who is initiated in a way is a guru, so they couldn't decapitate it. They tried. They said the scriptures are useless. They bribed some people to speak against the Vedas. They did so many things. They wanted to decapitate Hinduism in India and make Christianism the official only way, because they were Christian colonialists, no? And they couldn't. On the contrary, now Hindu spiritual leaders are coming into Christian countries and establishing the non-ecclesiastical hierarchy spirit of freedom of India spirituality. So what does it mean? It means the person comes to you and who loves you and who gets some Krishna from you, he makes you his spiritual guide. You are becoming the inspiration. You or he or me or Maharaj, we become the guide. We become the inspiration. We become the criteria for that person, for their spiritual life. Now they follow Ekadasi. Why? Because you tell them. Why they come to Janmashtami? Because you tell them. Now they offer the food to Krishna because you tell them. Now they read the Bhagavad Gita because you tell them. Now they take initiation because they love you. And now they become another representative. Huh? Now it's up to them how to continue that spirit in their sphere. Maybe they have much experience. Maybe they, like, take Premavata. What an intelligent guy is he. My God. Whatever he's doing is very highly spiritual there. his connection, he related to New Novagakula. He's an environmentalist. He knows everything. He's such an intelligent, amazing personality. And then there's Badrik. Huh? He's also very qualified. He's a yoga guru, no? But it is all new to him. There's another one, Hapanya. He's in Floripa. We didn't have time to contact him. He's married. He's a Colombian devotee. He's a genius architect. Govinda is a genius software engineer and devotee. So Shukadeva, Vrinda, this, that, this, you see, but now to net them, to take all the strings and to tie them together and to make a web of Krishna consciousness, weaving the tapestry of Krishna consciousness into reality. Only Krishna can do it himself. It's up to Krishna. We try our best. We say, come to Bhaktidam, spend a week here. They come and say, okay, here's a shovel. Go do something to plant some vegetables, no? Or did you bring a donation? Or what is it? No? So we're weaving a net. Krishna is weaving a net of consciousness. And in that net of consciousness, there's so much independence. And there'll be failures. So somebody may have a failure, then the net will catch him. The net of consciousness, not the net of institution. The web, the net which is woven by Krishna in the different countries. That's why we like ISKCON. Even though we are not directly involved with the ISKCON institution. Like Maharaj says, I'm not hitting on ISKCON. We love ISKCON. It's a wonderful organization. Prabhupada started it, you know. I was myself there. I bought Novagakula. I also started Vindabhumi. It's so funny, you know? In a way, if you see how it works, no? It's so funny, but at the same time, that's the reality we're living with. And we don't know. Maybe a car comes up now. And I can remember once I was in Chile. We were sitting in Macaiva. That was the first restaurant we started there. One boy came in, he came to 2 classes or 3 classes. After that he came, he says, I want to be a devotee. I said, well, very nice. I said, yeah, we are trying to make books from Prabhupada and this and that. He said, from now on, you have no more problems how to make books, because I will finance them. We looked at her. Who are you? It was Krishna Kirtan. He was the son of a cinema chain owner. His father owned all the big cinemas in Chile. And it's true. He took over the seva there. He started printing books. He put a lot of money in it, from which he had from his own family fortune. And so he also gave the book, the temple. For many years we stayed in Peñalolén. That was the temple. It all came from Krishna Kirtan in the beginning. So even Katemu was purchased with his help and involvement. So it's like that. This happens by the preaching. So the same thing can happen here. Anything like this, new here, new there. The tapestry is growing by the will of Krishna. And Sundarananda has another big temple in Sao Paulo. He's our man, but the tapestry is friendship, love, trust. The tapestry is not contracts, not signed documents. And sometimes the tapestry gets very thin. As long as we are chanting the Maha Mantra, we are still in the subtle tapestry of Krishna consciousness with everybody else who is also chanting the Maha Mantra. As soon as we read the same books and buy the same books, there's another tapestry. As soon as we are celebrating festivals together, there's another tapestry. We may celebrate the festivals in many different locations. It's still a tapestry. Or we may make a big Vaishnava meeting in one place. All together, that's also tapestry. That hasn't happened yet. Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha promotes an intensified tapestry for cooperation on common goals amongst all the Vaishnavas. Many Vaishnavas, they cannot really see it. I don't know why, but they can't see it very well. They don't have no time or no vision for it. Even in India, Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha, it'll take many years before it really, really becomes powerful. And maybe it's not meant to become powerful. Because if Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha becomes powerful, it's more easy to see all the connections. When it's not powerful, the connections are still there. All the missions, nobody ever said, I'm not a member of Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha. But hardly anybody did real work for it. Really a handful of people. But nobody, not even ISKCON said, we are not members. So the whole concept of Krishna consciousness spreading by the will of God, it is inconceivable. Therefore, many of the questions Maharaj raised today, the answers are also inconceivable. It is happening by the will of God, by our Shraddha, by our faith. And like, for example, you're managing Bhaktidam. Bhaktidam belongs to Krishna. Now you're the testaferros, you're the trust people. If you would not have saved it, then it would probably be somewhere nowhere now. Nobody would care for it. But in the end of the day, your disciples have to continue managing this when you become old. When you are not anymore in charge of everything. So you have to prepare for that. Like I'm now preparing to hand over all the mission of whatever I've started in my life, hand it over. Whatever now, after you left from here, that how Krishna is making the tapestry of Krishna consciousness spread all over, despite all the difficulties and the human weaknesses which are there, which we observe. And of course, you and me, we have seen a history of Krishna consciousness, but none of these boys and girls here.
Weak
even
too.
though
I'm also weak. I'm not saying
You too? You too?
yeah, me too. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm Mr. Perfect. You know what I mean? No way. But I don't have any major crimes listed under my name. You know what I mean? But obviously I have my weaknesses as well, like everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We have to see Krishna is always behind everything. So, but whenever practical questions arise, we try to find the best solution according to our ability. And usually we are not satisfied with our own solutions which we can provide because they are circumstantially conditioned. And of course, I was actually, while you were gone, I said I disagree with Shanto Maharaj about not being a member because our membership affiliation in Krishna conscious devotee is the initiation. And when you're initiated by a pure devotee or in a lineage of Mahaprabhu, as soon as you're initiated, you're becoming a student to become a guru. And very, very quickly you become a guru as soon as they make you temple president because all the guru jobs fall on you. And if the guru actually departs, there's nobody except you to continue.
I was preaching as a bhakta, but even before I got initiated, I was already preaching. Yeah.
So you probably were the Vartmana Pradakshaka guru for others even before you were initiated.
Yeah.
So the guru principle is really the thing which keeps everything alive and which also commits us.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And the membership is that grace of Prabhupada to give this trust to us, to become his sons and daughters, Brahmins, sannyas, whatever, you know. All these kind of huge words, which in India, people, they could not even imagine how Prabhupada made these young Westerners sannyasis or anything like that. No?
If I may interject, I must say that I never hankered for that kind of membership. You know, it wasn't like, I'm not saying that I particularly wanted that, but there are societies. For instance, I remember when I was in Jagannath Puri, this was a strange incident that occurred in Jagannath Puri that really made me feel in a kind of a strange way. The Ritviks were there, they had their place, and I was in the crowd, and I had really severely injured my foot. And the door was open, there was no one at the door, so I went in and sat down. And anyone could see that I was limping and that my foot was damaged, you know. And so I just sat there for a moment. And someone came along and said, how do you get in? I said, well, the door was open, no one stopped me. I came in and I just sat down. There's plenty of vacant chairs here. So are you a member? Do you have a card? I said, no. And they have big pictures of Prabhupada everywhere. You know what I mean? I wanted to say, look, I'm his direct disciple. All right? Okay. So do you have a card? I said, no. I said, well, you have to go. I said, well, you can see I've injured my foot. Severely injured. I just want to sit here for a few moments and just rest, you know, if you don't mind. And then I'll leave. You know? And no, they were not satisfied with that. They went and got some people. They came and they said, if you don't leave now, we're going to throw you out, you know. So, you know, it's like for want of a card, isn't it? For want of a card, you know. And I thought to say, I said, don't, you know, I sat for a moment and then I just got up and left, you know. But I was kind of disgusted at their behavior and their attitude, you know. And this is what happens in organizations. A lot of the time, they become very organizational and they forget the human element, you know, the human element. Even in ISKCON as well, you know, those people who followed Narayan Maharaj, who just agreed with him, not necessarily even follow him, but just who went to listen to him, they were taught, they were former Prabhupada disciples. I thought, where does this evil come from? You know what I mean? This is evil, you know. Now, because I'm listening to Narayan Maharaj, I'm a former Prabhupada disciple. I don't even have a right to discipleship of Srila Prabhupada anymore. Well, this is evil. This
is where the Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha comes in as a true necessity. Because we are belonging to the Vaishnava Sampradaya with certain traditions and certain rights. And this has been protected by Jiva Goswami in the concept of Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha. Of course, there's Rupa Goswami, Upadishamrita, there's all these kind of books which tell us. Now, just to counterbalance what you say, and the Ritviks, which I happen to meet many times and I'm acquainted with them, they actually have a concept of being proper and behaving proper to Prabhupada's disciple, for example.
Right.
But in that case, you had the bad experience, very bad, and I'm very sad about it that you had this unfortunate experience. But they are also a little afraid, I guess, a little paranoid
Right, yeah.
when the people come in from outside and they maybe ISKCON, and ISKCON is in a court case with them and all that.
Right,
But nevertheless, Vishwa Vaishnava Rajshava is a true necessity for the understanding of who are other Vaishnavas and human solidarity. When that is not there, this empathy, like for example, the Ritviks, they have the empathy, they want to feed the whole world prasadam. Great, that's Prabhupada's order. But what about Prabhupada's disciples? Are you not going to feed them?
Yeah.
So
I know these are individual instances, and
yeah,
they're if you become a Baha'i, for instance, they're very well organized. You get provided with a membership card, and you have a membership card, and you can produce it and say, look, I'm a Baha'i, and there it says on the card what you are, and so you're accepted as a member of the society.
that sounds okay, and I think I agree with that. We, in our Vrinda family, we have the criteria of seeing every devotee and judging him according to what he can do and wants to do. Because in South America, for example, it's very common that people show up in the door and all of a sudden say, hey, accept me. I want to be here now. I'm a devotee of Krishna. And it doesn't matter for us whether they initiated in Vrinda Parivar or in another Parivar. We accept them, but we will put certain conditions also. No? Are you going to participate in the sadhana? Are you going to follow the 4 regulative principles? Do you want to be a permanent or a temporary member here? We have a lot of flexibility, and so do other missions. I think so. But yeah, because we should not forget that there's how you call them in English, loafers or so.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
There's so many people who just come to an institution to live off the facility,
right,
without wanting to do anything, and they do that as long as they're allowed to, unless the leadership gets on their case. Now, listen, you've eaten here for 3 days, you haven't even washed your plate, and now things are going to change. If you want to stay here anymore, you have to take minimum of a 4-hour job every day of doing service, and that's just a natural adjustment in life. Even the father will not tolerate the child is just eating and screaming and not doing anything. So in that sense, the membership card is tends to give a facility for abuse. But I know even some life members abused their membership cards. But then on the other side, the life membership was a great idea Prabhupada had. And by that life membership, many temples were constructed in the end. And the majority of the life members, they're all well-to-do people. So they would not abuse their life membership card. As a matter of fact, they would hardly use it. So that counterbalanced these few examples of people abusing it. We could handle it, but I've seen that in people. So I'm a life member, so please, free food, free board. And this life membership really worked with the Indians. It never worked anywhere else, really. I don't know how the Baha'is manage it. Many religions, you can go there and you can pray there. Nobody will bother. But at the end of the prayer, everybody goes home. There's no food.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, okay, no food. Then now what? Now you go out and get your food somewhere else, no?
Right.
Except the Sikhs. The Sikhs, they have the
Yeah.
langar. They have a holy tradition of giving food to people who come. All you have to do is put on their cloths on your head.
That's right.
Otherwise, if you don't put on the cloths, then there's no food.
Well, in England, actually, the Sikhs have been real generous, the hosts of the devotees. And actually, when Narayan Maharaj came to England, a lot of the programs were held in Sikh gurudwaras. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because ISKCON wouldn't receive him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the Sikhs were very, very welcoming. So yeah, it's lovely.
Yes. So because they have a tradition of giving food to people, that's
Yeah.
part of their religion.
Yeah.
Whereas in most other churches or so, you don't get any food.
Well, and so if you go to a Methodist church, you'll get biscuits. Strangely enough, I went to the Central Methodist Church in England. I was living in Archway, and I grew up a Methodist, basically. And it was a lovely. So I went there on my birthday, and the congregation was all black except for 3 people. It was the priest, myself, and the pianist. But we had this beautiful sing-song, and everyone was very warm. At the end of the service, somebody said, "Is it anyone's birthday today?" It was my birthday. No, yeah, my birthday. So they all sang "Happy Birthday" for me. There was tea and biscuits and cake, and I got a birthday card. Can you imagine that?
Card?
A birthday card, yeah. That was nice, yes.
Yeah, but can you get satisfied by eating just biscuits?
No, obviously not.
Yeah, so that's not the same.
No, of course not.
Prabhupada provided a full meal.
Of course not. No, yeah. I'm just reflecting on things.
We are reflecting. It's very entertaining and very, very. I think this type of class, this type of exchange, is missing. It is the ghosty type of thing, where we are allowed to question, allowed to search answers beyond the traditional authoritarian system.
Yeah. Well, I would be considered by most people to be provocative, but I think my second wife, she said, "You're passive aggressive." She said, "You're passive aggressive." Quietly provocative.
Quietly provocative.
I was openly challenging.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote long papers of expressing my disgust, and I was constructively, because I always believed in constructive criticism.
Of course.
Srila Narayan Maharaj, he actually said that to me several times. He said, "Change the things from inside.
Right, yeah.
If you see anything wrong, change the things from the inside." And I tried. I tried to change the things from the inside very, very much. And then finally, in Colombia, Harijan Maharaj and myself, we came to the conclusion jointly, if we are not going to take this over here, this whole thing is going to go to the ground. So in this way, that time, we challenged the ISKCON authority. We said, we are going to go on here, and we told them, you can tolerate us the way we are being, then we will stay as a members of ISKCON, or you don't accept us, then we will leave. And they decided not to accept us. That was their open decision. So then we finally said, our heart was already with Srila Maharaj, but we hadn't gone to him. We hadn't taken initiation from him. But then we said, okay, instead of being disenfranchised completely, then let's go to get the connection of a pure devotee who's still alive in the world, no? Because Prabhupada wasn't with us, and the GBC was certainly not understanding or flexible or capable of managing the situation. So, that can be discussed.
Which
You know,
comes
the
back
GB the
to the
GBC
idea that Krishna consciousness resides in the person.
absolutely.
In the person. You can try to organize it, but ultimately it resides in the person.
Yeah,
So
that's what I explained while you were gone. I was saying that you become a guru by the initiation. It all resides in you. How you're going to continue with this now? Your responsibility. And I also explained that is a tradition of India's spirituality. It's not based on a hierarchical, on an ecclesiastical hierarchy. It's based on the individual performance. And because of that, India, England, and the Muslims could not crush Indian spirituality because every Brahmin was a guru. So they could kill a few prominent people and try to discredit the scripture. But every kid had the memory, had memorized the Ramayana and the Prahlad story and the Bhagavad Gita. And that was so strong that they could laugh off the stupid Christians with their dogmatic institutions. So that is also based on not being institutionalized.
Well, Varnashrama is the institution. That's the institution. That's the eternal institution.
Yes, but the concept of institution of Varnashrama will lead us to monarchy.
Yeah, it would do.
And monarchy, when it's absent in its true application, then this Varnashram system really depends on the individual performance everywhere, because there's no other structure to lean on to. And of course, also Varnashrama is a part of an education system.
Yeah.
So you're not a carpenter unless you know how to work with wood.
Yeah, of course.
So in Varnashrama system, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, all this is like today the software engineers, they are the makers of the future of this world. And
the world's going to be governed by AI, is it not? This is what they're planning. They think if they collect all the data in the world together and feed it into a computer, the computer will give the perfect solution.
But you know what an AI made by Meta, which is owned by Mark Zuckerberg, did? This AI began to say that Mark Zuckerberg is arrogant.
Oh, really? Okay.
And he's a danger to society.
Really?
The AI began to say that. It's a funny kind of.
Well, it's the quantitative approach.
And then they prohibited him of talking. No? They shut him up.
There are some bots that appeared. There was a bot that appeared in it was a program in Twitter. It was a Twitter bot, and it began with racist. They thought it was racist, so they shut it down. But the racist concept today is just black people cannot be racist against white people, for example. This is the racist concept because they were oppressed. There's no racism when they do something bad to white people. That's not racism. That's the actual the current definition they're trying to put into the internet and into everything. So they're changing the meaning of racism.
The whole thing is mental speculation. I mean, the artificial intelligence, there is one computer. It's called Aladdin. A very secret computer. It is so big.
Aladdin.
Aladdin, yeah. And it belongs to BlackRock.
Oh, yeah.
And this Aladdin computer is doing two things. it's evaluating risks for investments, and it is creating dangerous situations to create basis for good investments. In other words, it's a demon. Aladdin has become a demon because in order to make money for the big industry, for the big investments, they want difficult situations, wars,
Crisis, yeah.
scarcities, because they can calculate if there's a scarcity in food, then we can raise the prices. So if I invest now in this food company, then I can make money on my investment. So this is what Aladdin does. He provides structures for their investment to be secure. Aladdin is so powerful and BlackRock is so powerful that Chinese have invested their pension fund of all of China in the American BlackRock company.
Oh, okay.
BlackRock,
That's what's happening in China.
BlackRock and Vanguard. Vanguard is the second one. They belong to the same people. And there's a third one. But you see, BlackRock manages much more money than the biggest countries. They're the absolute big money manager. Maybe you have heard of.
Why BlackRock? Why do they call it BlackRock? That sounds like Islamic to me. It sounds like Islamic connection.
No,
Reminds me of the car.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's only a black cloth.
Huh?
The rock is grey.
Is it grey? Is it? Yeah. And why do they call the company BlackRock?
I don't know.
That's really
I don't know,
fascinating.
but the thing is that this Aladdin, this is the he works he takes all the world economic information into content. Even he gives you the information which football league is going to play, what is this, everything, even things you cannot imagine. Religion, for example, BlackRock will tell you all the religious holy dates, what day these people will buy something. There's nothing escapes from BlackRock's, from Aladdin's information list.
Right.
And based on that, he's making the program for the investments. And that hardly ever fails. Therefore, their investments are the most secure, and that's why everybody puts their money into BlackRock. And the artificial intelligence is practically a greedy machine of exploitation. And that's what it is. Aladdin and BlackRock is a greedy machine of exploitation. Number one best example is Ukraine war right now. No? That's a big investment there. And all the countries counseling with this link, or what is this, BlackRock CEO, I forgot his name right now, very famous. Larry Fink, yeah. They all counsel with him. This is so demonic and so nasty, like investments usually are. I mean, all of colonialism was very, very nasty. And it was all based on getting natural resources from poor countries and getting slaves to do the work. Because if you get slaves to do the work, you have a cheaper product than those who pay for the workers. So you can compete. So that's where China came in. China came in as the slave country for cheap work. And then India wanted to compete with China. Anyhow, so this is a type of thing, This is totally mundane.
Yeah.
This is totally mundane. They have no space for spirituality there. They also have no space for empathy.
No.
For them, empathy is a PR instrument.
Is a weakness. Empathy is a weakness.
No, they use it because they know they get emotions, they get donations. They know if we put something on an empathetic like what you call Brot für die Welt, Caritas. These are calculated groups of or Red Cross, but they all belong to the same. It's all part of it.
Which emphasize the need for basic raw humanity, and that just forgetting all this, you know, the rules and everything, just person to person, that, you know, person to person. I think that's one of the great assets of Krishna consciousness, is it's thoroughly and absolutely personal, you know. At the end of the day, it comes down to just one person to another person, you know.
Heart to heart.
Yeah.
That's our quality of life, because we have the heart to heart based on Atman and Ishvara and very, very great faith in going back to home, back to God. We don't want to be happy in Aladdin's Wonderland. How is that? That was
Aladdin. We say Aladdin.
Aladdin. Wonderland.
Wonderland, yeah.
Aladdin Wonderland. So they could call this computer Aladdin.
They're shooting off into outer space. I mean, some of these people have trillions of something. You know what I mean, isn't it? They say, he's a billionaire. No, he's a trillionaire. I mean, a trillion what? What have they got, actually? The earth is still there. The grass still grows. The banana's still on the trees. You know, it's like, what have they actually got? It's all imagination, isn't it? It's imagination, ultimately. And it depends upon human consent. You know? It's because the general mass of people consent to this system. But if we decide, look, that your money's not worth anything, then the whole system collapses. You know? So it depends upon the consent of the general mass of humanity that this piece of paper with a number on it has some value, which actually it doesn't have.
Maharaj, yeah? sorry to say, they see beyond that far. For them, money is just what they print and they declare to have a value. For them, the workers, the values are in real estate, in the workers, abilities, talents. They know that, because the paper is just.
Well, that requires people's consent again, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the gold standards.
That's right.
It's a whole lot of things, you know. The cryptocurrency, it's another big joke. But whole world has become crypto conscious. And basically, like, for example, take musicians. How does music work? You have a market which buys music or pays for music. So that market goes into Aladdin, and they say, well, the average buyer of music buys 3 CDs or compact discs a year. So let's make 3 companies so famous so that we sell our 3 CDs for sure. So now they take from the musicians, they promote 3 or 4 or 5 or so, make them stars. They earn millions. Now, because of the millions, there's 100,000 people who want to become musicians in the hope that they'll become one of those 3 in the future, which they will never become, but they spend first on instruments, then on learning how to play the instruments, then on this and on that, and it's an incredible industry. But this industry works because they got the 3 big millionaires are playing their music. Blah, 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 blah. Same thing happens in sports. The sport industry is huge. Like some football player making millions. It's just like, it's the carrot they hang in front of people's nose that you'll be a big guy, you'll get the thing, you know. and have a little few prizes and a few promotions. Then they have a surprise. Some young guy comes and he becomes a star overnight. This is all calculated. There's no accident in this. The capitalist system has full control of these things. And that's what the general people don't know.
Well, who don't know?
The general people,
Yeah.
they're absolutely unaware of how this system works.
They're being manipulated.
Yeah.
So better not to buy those 3Ds. Actually, music has been totally corrupted because the scale system that they use in the Western musical system is corrupt. Most people don't know that. The intervals are wrong. So the actual music puts you in more and more a mundane consciousness. The more you listen to it, titillates the senses. You know, it's designed to give you some kind of feeling of happiness, but it's non-spiritual music. You know, because the intervals are wrong. Do you understand that? Yeah.
You mean the 432 megahertz versus the 448 or something?
I'm no expert in this. You'd have to consult with a musician, but the intervals between the notes have been adjusted so that they're just materialistic. You know, they put you more and more in a materialistic concept.
Yeah, something like this. I don't retain all this information. It's too much to know all these things. But I know about this 432 versus the actual musical.
Indian music's all right. It's still pure. But the Western music is totally corrupted. You listen to it, you become more and more mundane, even demoniac. Yeah. Especially you shouldn't listen to reggaeton. No reggaeton, please. Yeah. But it's part of the program to keep people in the bubble, isn't it? The interesting thing is that actually they don't need to stay in the bubble. It's like the metaverse that's being created by Zuckerberg. They want everyone to become part of that, even to have the chip inside their brain, you know, implanted. So everyone's in that, but they don't have to be, you know, and it's their individual choice to say, no, I'm not going to become part of this. And basically, you know, our business is to inform people, look, you don't have to be a part of this, you know. You have your own choice, you know, and you can become a free person. You don't have to become involved, you know. But they make it appear so that like everybody has to, you all have to be involved in this. You have to be involved with our money situation. You have to be involved in this, and this. And a lot of people have no choice because they're not thinking. They don't take the choice. And I suppose they have no choice because they've never been given that choice, you know, because they don't know that they have it, you know. But once they wake up, they realize, actually, I have a choice, isn't it? I can choose. You know?
Prabhupada took us out of this buckle.
That's right, yeah.
That's really what he gave us freedom.
Yeah.
There's no freedom in this Western society.
No.
Communist, capitalist, whatever, bourgeois. There's no and military thinking. There's no freedom of the individual. And Prabhupada made us enter into a world where you have all the freedom, even to become a teacher of the truth. You yourself have to become a teacher of the truth, meaning you have to be able to reject the untruths. It's quite a task. So Kala Krishna, he had to make the move. He had to decide what is the truth.
What we're talking about, Kala? No? It's too difficult. Yeah,
and context is understanding.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody has to make those decisions.
Eu entendi também.
I think we can end this reflection now, unless you have some very important thing to say, because we have to look after a few things.
I do want to say though that I'm not complaining. You know what I mean? I'm very happy with the way things are, and whatever I have said or if it's recorded or anything like that. It's not by way of complaint, it's just by way of observation, that's all.
Should I finish? Yeah.
Chant Hare Krishna and be happy.
I wonder who's going to watch this.